With his world crashing down around him, Rick focuses his attention on Grundy. Beth becomes the target of Eclipse's latest plan. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve from Valhartv, and today I'll be reviewing Stargirl Episode 8. So, that synopsis is a little incorrect. This episode is about Rick and Beth. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So this episode starts out with Rick's teacher coming to his house and apologizing for thinking that he cheated. And she hands him a bunch of paperwork for different colleges. So she's like encouraging him to go to college because that was a place for her to start over again. And of course, we end up seeing Rick's uncle, who's nothing but a mean drunk, come out and scream at her and tell her to get off of his property. And Rick is like really feeling down and in a low place. He's at a low point at this time, and he really doesn't know what to do because of things like his uncle and stuff telling him he'll never amount to anything. So I thought that was a very interesting way to go with these two characters, because we in season 1 we did see that Rick's uncle was a drunk, and he was a mean one. And Rick's to the point where he's old enough too, I feel like, that his uncle shouldn't feel like he's burdened with this kid. And it's very strange and interesting to see the dynamic between these two. And of course, we end up cutting to Courtney, and Courtney wants to go see Yolanda and apologize to her and try to see if maybe she'll come back to the JSA. But we hear the doorbell ring, and we find that Wildcat's suit is on the doorstep. So Courtney really doesn't know what to do, and she's feeling helpless. She even says that at one point to Pat, that she feels really helpless because the staff is broken. It got hurt by Eclipse, and Stripes is out, of commission right now. So they're trying to figure out, she's just trying to figure out something to do. And instead of Pat, encouraging her to continue to do research or look up stuff, he's like, we got to be patient. The JSA was all about being ready at the right moment. And I'm just like, Pat, man, you need to be a better teacher. You need to step up. You were there with the original JSA for a long time. You should know how to train these people. You should be encouraging Courtney to learn how to defend herself better, even without the staff right now, especially without the staff. She needs to be able to coordinate, her attacks with the staff, but she needs to learn how to defend herself without the staff, because things like this always happen to the to the good guys. Something happens to their equipment and they've got to improvise. He needs to start teaching these kids how to do that without their crutches, basically, because that's what they are, in my opinion. She relies on the staff a lot, and it's without it, she doesn't really know what to do. So we really need to see them step up this training regimen, I think. That's just my opinion. Let me know down below what you think, though. So this episode, again, is about both Rick and Beth. Now, Rick, again, is very frustrated. He's angry about his situation, about what his uncle says, and he doesn't really know what to do. And this is where Eclipse comes in and gets him to go after Grundy for something. And, well, let's just say it's not Grundy who he ends up going and beating up. So I thought that was very interesting and how that actually worked out. I think Rick's story is a little bit better. No, it is better than Beth's. Well, let's just say that. When we get to Beth, they make Beth relevant, or I should say try to make her relevant, by playing the race card. Yes, this was a very big groaner, because Eclipso is very ist in this episode. Really, really bad. I even said hashtag cancel Eclipso as I was watching this episode because I was like, wow, they literally went to this level to try to get Beth's story to become good. I was like, wow, the writers were just awful. For Beth's character, it's awful. What they've done to her, even in season 1, awful. And this season, again, awful. And this episode was, for her, was just bad. You know, Eclipso points out all these stereotypes. And even Beth says the R word to him. And he's like, ha! And then he runs away. And I'm just like, what are these people? I'm like, dude, this is just terrible. The whole thing. And she, overcomes it by saying that she chose herself and that she likes who she is. And I'm like, that's great. You should like who you are. Period, end of story. It doesn't matter what color you are. You should like who you are. And you should surround yourself with people who like you for who you are and who will encourage you to do better than what you think you can do or what people say you can do. You know, and that's the whole thing I thought even with Rick, is like he needs people around him to encourage him to do better than what his uncle has done with his life. We need people like that around in all of our lives to encourage us, to encourage everybody around us. Good vibes. Good vibes is what we need. And in this episode, she even talks about that. She's like, I chose me. I'm good. And I'm just like, dude, we didn't need this race card, though. We needed just a better story arc to actually make her a better character. Like, I feel if she, just like the rest of the JSA, if they all trained, they all went and actually learned how to fight without using their goggles, their staffs, their claws, their hourglass, they would be way better off. And training to be an actual team, to coordinate with each other, fight, attacks, defense, all that stuff, they would be a lot better. But no, they played these cards this episode, and it was not a very good episode because there wasn't a lot that actually happened in this anyways. This episode, the effects were fine in it, right? Okay, so the effects weren't bad. They were the standard effects that they've always done in them. The ending in this, we get to see some ice on the roof with Mike and Barbara. And so I'm kind of interested to see where that goes, and that's the ending of the episode. So I kind of was like, wonder where that's going to go. But again, the effects were fine. The acting was okay. Had no issues. It's the same acting that it's been for, 2 seasons now. But this episode shows us that Eclipso is targeting everybody around Courtney to isolate her and make her feel alone. So that's what this whole episode was really about, was just targeting all of the JSA members and other people around her like Pat to make Courtney feel helpless and isolated, and it worked. That's all that happened in this episode. Episode was the weakest out of all of them. I mean, now we see exactly what Eclipso's plan is. So now we got to see where the conclusion comes. If does he get Courtney isolated? What's he going to do to Courtney when he does that? So that's what we're waiting for at this point. So are we going to end up seeing Green Lantern come back? Maybe. Maybe that's why they're keeping the CGI and all that down a little bit lower so they can actually come in with her again and Thunderbolt, too, to have all these quirky, expensive CGI effects and things like that so they can bring them back at a later time. But I believe this is only like a 13, 14 episode show, and we've already at episode 8. So are we going to see those guys this season? Maybe, maybe not. But again, let me know what you thought about this episode down below. I would give this episode at least a 6.5 out of 10. Was not a very good episode. It just Yeah, that's all I can say. It wasn't very good. And hit the like button and subscribe, as I'll be doing more stuff, hopefully, coming up. Take care for now, everyone.